3. That's what we're doing tonight. So go ahead and tune on in here. Here we go. People are coming in. Let's see. There we go. There we got people in. All right, let's go. Welcome to All Things Fisker. I am joined tonight, as you can see, with our special guest host, Jim from OSR Garage and Matt from Tesla Tips by Mountain Ranger. Hello, gentlemen. How are you doing tonight?
We're doing good.
Hello.
Excellent.
Doing well.
Ooh, and we got a new setup over there with Matt and his Tesla Tips and his Ocean Views hat. So welcome everyone to the Fisker Auto YouTube channel. What a week it's been. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel and join our YouTube membership if you haven't already done so. If you have, thank you very much. Now, tonight in Europe, we're 49 days away from the official start of production of the Fisker Ocean. So it's ticking lower, 49 days. That's not too long. What is that? 7 full weeks until the official start of production on November 17th, 2022. And tonight on All Things Fisker, we've got a lot of photos, a lot of new photos, I should say, and a lot of new videos out of Fisker for us to discuss. We're going to be going over tonight a variety of things. We're going to talk about performance and safety testing. We're going to talk about the Moose test, or the Elk test, whatever you want to call it. We're going to talk about Fisker Ocean and the instrument panel we saw today in a video. And we're going to also talk about the digital rear view mirror. Is it going to replace the rear wiper on the Fisker Ocean? We'll have to talk about that one. Henrik also walked the line last week and this week. So we're going to talk about that, what we saw in the videos and the photos as he walked the line with the Fisker team. We're going to also talk about Fisker Ocean paint colors, interior options, as well as wheels that we saw, some new wheel options, or I should say wheel option. Yeah. And then we're going to take a close look at Fisker and how they are one step closer to sellable vehicles. So that's going to be a fun one. We're going to touch briefly on Fisker and Henrik Fisker's visit to India. We're going to talk about pop-up locations again, or should I say auto shows. So we're going to talk about Fisker going to the Paris Auto Show and opening up a Fisker lounge in Paris. So that's going to be exciting. And then like we do always, we do our best to try to take your questions live. So that's going to be your All Things Fisker episode 3 this evening. Thank you for joining us. How you doing, you two? Doing all right over there?
Doing good.
Excellent.
Doing fine.
Excellent. We're all streaming with new laptops from the sound of it. So we all have a new laptop that we're working on tonight, which is kind of fun. And it looks like Matt's got a really cool, setup here in the garage where he has his charger, it looks like, directly behind him over his shoulder. Like,
oh, yeah, right there.
Is that your charger? It is, right?
Yep, it is.
Yeah, so that's kind of fun. Super. So let's see. Let's go ahead and get started. We're gonna. Oh, I forgot to mention. We're also going to talk about tonight, if we have time. We're going to talk about some new U.S. Federal EV charging information that came out. I think both Matt and Jim actually talked about that one earlier with me through email. So we're going to talk about that too, I believe. So anyhow, let's talk about performance and safety testing. So we got a couple different videos that came out of Fisker. We're going to play one right now, and then we'll talk a little bit about it. Then we'll play another one, and we'll talk about it, and we can all have a discussion. And while we're doing that, before we do that, I should say, let's go ahead and find out, if we could, where everybody is watching us from tonight. Usually we skip over that and we end up not really finding out where people watch us. That's kind of the exciting part, at least from my side, is to see all the people who watch us and where they come from. I think it's also kind of fascinating to see that. So yeah, let us know where you are tonight, and we'll shout off some of the places where you are. And then also, if you haven't already done so, go ahead and hit the like button. We always forget to do that as well. We always forget to ask you to hit the like button. So let's just get that out of the way. On the count of 3, everybody, 1, 2, 3, please hit the like button. Okay, we got that sorted out. So I'm trying to get all the things, gentlemen, that I miss at the beginning of every show. So we got people from Kansas. We got people from, wow, a close one to me, Escondido, California, Greenwich, Connecticut, Ontario, Canada, Hurricane Land. I'm guessing that would be probably Florida, Rick. Awful. We have Los Angeles, and it looks like Tommaso is sitting at his kids' hockey practice, hockey in Southern California. He says he needs a beer or margarita. We have people in Reno, West Des Moines, Point Vedra Beach, Florida. That's interesting. Let's see here. Walnut, California, Chicago. There's one close to you, Jim. Quebec, Canada, Atlanta, Burbank, California, Phoenix, Arizona. Hello, everyone. So thank you for telling us where you're at. That's exciting. And it also, by us asking that, it gives people some time to join who are latecomers. So we always start, 5 minutes after, just to try to get, as many people the opportunity
Germany.
to. Oh, you see a Germany. Wow, that's a far away. That person's staying up late.
Yeah.
I'm in Germany. What time is it? It is 3:11 a.m. Wow, that's an early one. So, okay, let's do this. So performance and safety testing. Let's throw this video up on the screen and check it out.
Doing pretty good in the elk test, the moose test. Let's do the moose test. Okay,
Let's do the moose test. So I don't know why I like that, but I thought that was kind of fun.
Yeah.
You can see he's like, let's do the elk test, let's do the moose test, let's do the moose test. It was kind of funny, and not just kind of dodging in and out of cones and, hey, an object's coming at you. Can you get out of the way? And does the car still, can you still retain control of the vehicle? Dodging an object. In this case, cones are already placed there. It's not an actual moose running out of the woods and, across the road. But what'd you guys think of that?
I was impressed by how effortless it was. I've seen how people go through that before, and it's pretty intense. Those cones are not like far away from each other. They're pretty close. And he was just effortlessly just back and forth without any problem. He wasn't leaning up in the seat or anything. He was just relaxed and just back and forth and went right through. That, to me, is impressive and kind of exciting.
It's a hard test for SUVs too. I've seen a lot of them fail.
Wow.
I guess maybe the top heavy, but with EVs, I think it helps by being low center of gravity. And I guess this car is tuned pretty well for performance. So it's good to see. I'm guessing that's at the Bridgestone facility, right? That they've been
It looks
using.
like Magna Steyr to me.
Or was it Magna? Oh, okay.
The video was actually published, I want to say Thursday or Friday of last week, when Henrik actually visited the Magna Steyr factory to do his review of the vehicles on the line, which we'll get to in a little bit, as well as the test drive. And we saw a test drive there. We then, today, we ended up getting some additional footage from Fisker around another test that they did. And in a portion of the video, you can actually see what appears to be possibly Henrik doing this moose test. You see a Fisker Ocean going in and out of cones, and let's have a look at that one and see if there's any similarities. There's a couple other things on here too. We're going to see some Aero Stealth wheels, which is kind of neat. I think that might be the first time we see those. So let's have a look at this video.
Okay, so we are out here testing the Fisker Ocean. We have another suspension setup, super exciting. And also we have the Aero wheels on as well. That's going to give you an extra, I think about 8 miles or something like that.
So there you go. You could see as well in that video a little bit of the, swerving or, staying in control, but going in and out of cones, a couple different shots, one way out in the distance, another one looked like a kind of a side shot. So that was kind of that was interesting. It looked like the Fisker Ocean handled pretty well there.
Yeah. Yeah, it looked pretty good.
Yeah.
Also, the digital mirror, it was prominent in that, which we haven't really seen much.
We haven't seen
Because you
much
can
actually in action, right? We haven't seen
Yeah,
it
in action.
Really?
So that's a really neat feature.
Yeah, we're gonna talk a little bit about that one here in just a minute. But before we do, let's look at something. Let's look at something else. So we know that Fisker ended up doing their performance testing again. They're continually, like Henrik mentioned a couple months ago, they're going to continue to do performance testing, continue to try to fine tune the Fisker Ocean all the way probably up until, I would imagine, close to the start of production, because a lot of these tweaks could potentially be done through software. So they can tweak software, up until production, and then they'll probably do a code freeze for the people that don't know software development. And then after the code freeze, maybe they continue to do improvements, and then 2-3 weeks, a month later, a couple of months later, whatever it may be, they'll push another build of the software to even maybe more fine tune the software on the Fisker Ocean, as well as maybe fix bugs in the UI and other things like that. And that's the UI we haven't seen yet, but we did see something pretty cool. We saw the Fisker Ocean instrument panel. So we saw that pretty clearly in that video, and I'm gonna throw up a photo here, and it's a zoomed in photo actually of that Fisker Ocean instrument panel. And it looks a little different than I've seen it before. So here it is on the screen, and let's see what it looks like. So you see Henrik Fisker when I'm appearing. I'm guessing that's Henrik Fisker's knuckle on the steering wheel, because he was the one that was doing the test drive. There was a couple different angles in the video where you could see him in the driver's seat. So that's him holding the steering wheel. And it appears that this particular test drive was done, if the clock is correct, 5:10 p.m. potentially, or 5:10 p.m. Local time. So they're working late on the test track there. So what do you see here, guys?
It's Thursday. Does it say Thursday on there too? Like
It might. So that would have been last week then, right? That would have been last Thursday when the other video was recorded. Yeah, it looks like
Thursday. September 20 something. I can't tell exactly, but
yeah, definitely last week. What would that have been? It would have been like, I don't even have a calendar up, but let's see, September 22nd. It would have been September 22nd. Would have been Thursday last week.
Looks like that may say that.
Yeah, so that's kind of neat. So we're going to end up seeing with our display, that instrument panel, we'll get a date and we'll get a time. That's kind of neat. The speedometer is super prominent in the center of the instrument panel. And as Henrik stepped on the gas, you could see, or the accelerator, you could actually see the mileage, or the miles per hour, increase at a pretty rapid rate. And he definitely got over 80 miles an hour during whatever test they're doing here. And the graphic of that, circular pattern kind of, bouncing out or growing larger as the speed, accelerated. That was kind of
like a time warp type thing.
Yeah, kind of a time warp. That's a great way to describe it, Matt. And then also too, you have a whole bunch of buttons down there. This is a screen grab from a video, so it's not very clear. And the video we have was, I think, 720p, which isn't, the highest resolution. So we're trying to make the best of what the images are at the bottom. I saw a couple flash during, the video, but I can't make out anything that's down below. Maybe you guys can. I have no idea.
Well, one of them is the traction control.
Okay. There you go.
Orange, the third one from the right.
Okay.
That is your traction control button or warning. And then it looks like you got the 4 red dots there are probably the tires. It may show with that torque vectoring system, it may show and light up those tires and wheels to which ones are getting the power. That's pretty cool.
That is pretty cool.
Not sure about the rest of them.
What about you, Matt? Do you see anything there that stands out in that blurry
Yeah,
The
I
blurry
just
image.
looked colorful compared to what we've previously seen, which was very
It-
monochrome looking.
It
So
definitely looks colorful,
yeah,
and
but
I would find it a little distracting, actually, to be honest. I'd find it a little distracting if I'm driving to the grocery store and I see that many buttons on the bottom or that many, lights on the bottom. Usually, when you're driving, you don't want that many. Um, it's usually not a good thing when you see that many, icons showing on the instrument panel, at least in my past experience. But who knows? We don't know what they are, what they're doing. But there's certainly a lot of them. It looks like there might be like eight or nine, and that's all we can see from the center all the way to the right. So that's interesting. So anyhow, very colorful. We haven't seen that before. Now let's talk about this one here. Now we have something else that we haven't seen before. So Fisker's been full of surprises. We love it. Let's go ahead and take a look at the digital rearview mirror. And the digital rearview mirror has actually been something that we're definitely familiar with. Like Matt mentioned earlier, we actually haven't seen it in the real world, if you will. When we went to the Fully Charged Live over in San Diego, yeah, you could see the little camera on the back of that prototype. You could see the rearview mirror, but nothing was on. So we really didn't have an opportunity to get a chance to see it like we saw it today. And maybe it's worthwhile to watch that video again just to have another look at it. But here's the image of the digital rear view mirror. Let's go ahead and pull that one up if I can find it here. Let's see. There it is. And there we go. So there's our digital rear view mirror. We'll zoom in here and right there. And what Henrik says, or what Fisker, I should say, says, is they posted a little caption. So this was grabbed from most of these videos that we end up sharing with you guys are all on social media. And we just try to talk through them and try to learn new things. And a lot of the video that we see, like this particular video, we ended up seeing this new lens, or what they're calling it. It's basically that digital camera on the rear of the vehicle. And Jim did a really good video of the ADAS system, the Phi Pilot, talked about the digital cameras that are on the vehicle. So if you haven't seen that video, you can check that one out. But they say this little lens will make rear view wipers or rear wipers a thing of the past. Hashtag Fisker feature. So we talked about a while back, like, well, where's the wiper on the Fisker Ocean? Like, no one's ever seen the wiper of the on the Fisker Ocean. So it's like now we have some more context here, and it doesn't look like it has a wiper, or maybe this is the quote unquote magic wiper that Henrik Fisker talked about probably over a year ago on Twitter. So we don't know if there's still going to be this magic wiper, quote unquote, but we definitely know that they are talking about this rear view digital camera as a potential replacement for the rear wiper. So if your rear window gets super filthy, super dirty, whether it has dirt, snow, whatever it may be, instead of having to clean that rear view glass, you just have to make sure that camera is very clean or visible, and you should be able to see, the back of your vehicle, what's behind you. What do you guys think about that? Do you think that's going to be? You think overall, do you think that's an innovative idea to have a digital rearview mirror and showing the video from that back camera?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think we really thought about it when people kept asking about a wiper, and we didn't think about having the digital mirror. You're not going to need a wiper because you can see with the camera. And there's a few other models and vehicles that have done this in the past. My brother-in-law has a Subaru, and it has both. So you can use a regular one, or it's got a flip switch, and you can see with the camera behind you. So if you do have stuff in the back that's piled up and you can't see out your thing, you can switch over to the camera and still see behind you. So I think it's a great thing. The only problem is what happens if the camera happens to go out or go bad. then you
Then
can't
need
see
a very
anything.
clean window, and you have to look over your shoulder each time you're
Yeah.
doing whatever you need to do back there.
But I must say, the Chevy Bolt has had one of those on their upper trim level for about 5 years now, and I haven't heard anybody complain about it breaking or anything. So it, it must be fairly reliable. I mean, this is in addition to the regular rear camera too, because I guess it has a lower camera, I guess near the license plate for the regular backup camera.
Okay. Yeah, for your backup.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there's actually two cameras in the back.
So I want to take a look at the video one more time, that longer video, and I'm going to freeze it when we get to the section of the rear, the rear view mirror here, the rear view mirror. I want to make sure that I understand this correctly. Like I'm envisioning in my head right now that whatever is captured on that rear view digital camera will actually show up on the actual rear view mirror. Now, I could be wrong. Like the Tesla, for example, the Tesla Model 3, when I hit the little camera button, I can see, the mirrors on the cameras on the sides of the vehicle, as well as the rear of the vehicle, the one that's by the license plate, and it shows it on the display at the front of the vehicle. Now, like I would envision that the video that would be from that camera in the back would actually show up on the display. But from seeing the actual video, I'm wondering if that little rear view mirror is actually a display. I don't think it is. I think it certainly wasn't when I went to the Fully Charged Live. So I don't think that's what it is. I think it's going to show up on the 17.1 inch display. Is that your guys' take on this too?
No, it'll be in the mirror.
Yeah. Let's have a look at the video again.
And also we have the aero wheels on as well. That's going to give you an extra, I think about 8 miles or something like that.
Okay, there we go. So there's the rear view mirror. Clearly we have a rear view window or a rear window that's clean, right? It's not a dirty one. So is what the camera is capturing here on that rear view mirror, you guys believe that that's actually digital? So it's like a screen in essence that's transmitting the videos, transmitting the footage directly to that rear view mirror.
Yep. That's how I was saying with my brother-in-law's Subaru is. It actually, when you flip the switch, like it used to be where you would dim your mirror. It's got a little switch underneath it, like you're dimming your mirror. When you do that, it flips it to a digital
Interesting
rear view mirror.
So they clearly say there. So that's why I'm asking the question. They clearly say digital interior rear view mirror, standard on all trims. I got that, but I just wanted to be 100% clear. And granted, I could reach out to Fisker and ask them, but it's more fun for us to talk about it here on All Things Fisker. so there you go. I'm going to play the rest of the video just because I enjoyed seeing the Fisker Ocean. So here we go. We're gonna finish the rest of the video. So there we have it. It's the digital rear view mirror. You didn't hear it first from here, but you might have heard it second from us, right? On All Things Fisker.
It's got to be a pretty good today. Camera.
Yeah,
that would be a pretty good camera back there too, for it to, seem realistic, not have any distortion. Because you get some of those backup cameras, you get a little distortion, you get a bubble effect, and things like that. So hopefully this one is I guess we would call it a linear projection, so that it's flat, it's not bubbled or anything like that. So it looked pretty good.
Yeah, I've seen a couple that look like a fish lens. So that's takes me back to the skateboarding days, filming skateboarders with the fish lens and all that fun stuff for effect. So let's talk about the next thing. So we've talked about the instrument panel. That was actually pretty neat. We talked about the digital rearview mirror. There was something else in that video that we really didn't talk about, but I did mention it earlier. So I'm gonna actually just show that and pause it. So in the back there of that behind Henrik, you actually see the Fisker Ocean in with the Aero Stealth wheels, and we know that the 20-inch Aero Stealth wheels are going to provide customers or Fisker Ocean owners the most range with their battery. They're going to end up, as Henrik mentioned, he said about 8 miles. So that would mean if you have the 22-inch air gliders or the 22-inch slipstream wheels, you're going to end up getting a little bit less range. Now, we've seen on a couple other sites, like maybe say Instagram, we've seen Fisker Inc. talk about, 10 miles, 15 miles. So it's somewhere between say 8 and 15. We don't know yet exactly, but we will know when Fisker ends up sharing their EPA numbers with everybody, what the actual range is going to be. But this video tonight was, or earlier this afternoon, was the first time that I saw Aero Stealth wheels on a Fisker Ocean. We saw them with the covers on. Now, if you take those covers off, you do have a pretty nice pattern that I believe we may have seen previous. And there's actually a lot of people. I'm gonna actually do a poll if I can do so. I'm gonna run a poll right now, and let me see if I can do that. I want to find out which wheels. We got 100 people watching right now. So which wheels are you choosing for your Fisker Ocean? So let's go ahead and ask that question. We're going to say our Aero Stealth. We really only have 3 options. Yeah, the air gliders and the slipstreams have 2 different colors, but we're just going to end up doing 3 options here, and let us know which wheels you prefer after seeing the Aero Stealth in the video that we showed you, or the one that you may have saw earlier today on social media. So there we go. We threw the poll up. You can have a vote there, and we'll take a look at that here in just a minute. Now, Henrik Fisker ended up going to Magna last week, and when he was there, he got an opportunity to walk the line, and we saw him walk what would probably be the finishing line or the very end of the line. We also saw him walk the production line because he shared lots of photos of a Fisker Ocean being built on the high volume production line. So we saw that. That was pretty neat. And guess what? We have some video to take a look at, gentlemen. So let's go ahead and pull that up. This is the first one that we saw that he shared. This is, they only share short clips. Granted, it makes it easier to upload, but here's the very first one. We'll have a look at another one here in just a second, but here's the first one. That was probably the best part at the end there. The guy that's the Magna employee, he takes a look at the camera. I'm sure people have noticed that who have seen this like 100 times. And he gives like to the camera person. Let's watch that again because that's actually kind of fun.
What's the data? You still haven't seen it?
So there you go. So in that particular video, we saw 4 Fisker Oceans fully built at the end of the high volume production line. We saw one in night drive, one in great white. We saw one in Mariana, and then Big Sur blue. Now, I've switched after seeing all these vehicles. I'm no longer going to go with the great white. I love great white sharks. I don't want to be bit by one. I want to mix it up. I want to go with the most premium option that Fisker is going to offer, even though it's going to be extremely hard from what I've read to take care of. I'm going with the Big Sur blue and the matte finish. I'm doing it. I'm going to go for it.
It probably would have been safer to get the Mariana and then have the Stealth PPF put on, and then it'd be matte finish. It'd probably look just like the Big Sur blue, and you wouldn't have to worry about any special treatment to the paint.
That's true. That's true.
An extra $4,000 or so to get that done, though. But
yeah, it is an extra $4,000. But you know what? I may have to do that as well to the Big Sur blue paint if I don't want to worry about nicks and things like that. So at the end of the day, you're doing basically the same thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Who knows? I still have now. My lock date was October 10th, and I should have received an email if my date didn't change. Now my date's still October 10th when I log into the Fisker account, but I never received the email 2 weeks prior to October 10th, which would have been, I believe, Monday. So that would have been 2 days ago. So I don't know if my build is going to expire on October 10th or not. I'm assuming it's going to, even though maybe I didn't get the email. I do check my spam filter or my spam folder daily, and it wasn't there. So I don't think Fisker sent me that lock email or saying my expiry for building my Fisker Ocean is or my build is going to expire on October 10th. But I have my preferences set. My configuration is that Big Sur Blue, the 22-inch air gliders, and then the not Malibu, the Black Abyss interior. So that's my selection as of right now. And I'd be happy if my build expired and it was on that. That's that.
Was there any other options that popped up? Any new things that were available?
Nothing new. I don't see anything for like roof racks or anything for like a sunshade or anything like that. And Fisker did say that on their FAQ. If you look at the FAQ, they do say that around launch time, they're going to do something. They're going to do something with roof racks. So we who knows where those are going to go or where they'll mention that. Maybe they'll just update the FAQ and not actually make it an accessory that you can purchase yet. So TBD on that. We'll obviously update people on all things Fisker, as well as publish an article on the site when new features become available, because that's fun to do, and just keep tabs on everything. So that was the first video walking the line. Now let's take a look at the second video. That one is actually a little better, and let's take a look at this one. So there's Henrik giving us a different vantage point. So it's a little bit of a mix-up, but there's a lot to see here.
There's Matt's car.
Yeah, the Mariana. The black looks really nice too. But as soon as I had that black Ford Expedition in 2000, I bought that car new, and you end up once you wax it, thereafter, no matter how well I waxed it, I always had swirl marks. It's almost impossible to keep clean.
Dust.
Dust. It's bad, and we have a bad habit of not washing our cars on a regular basis in this household. So a white car, we have a white Tesla Model 3. It looks filthy, but it would look even filthier if it was a black vehicle or if it was Big Sur Blue, right? So I'm going to have to become meticulous, and I'm going to invest my time. Maybe I'll do one less video a week, or I'll do one less article a week, and I will spend time down in the garage detailing the car, assuming I drive it on a routine, on a regular basis. Who knows how frequently I'll be driving it. But it's going to become more of a hobby now. So we have one hobby, the Fiskerati, and the second hobby will also be tied to the first hobby. So it'll be taking care of a car, and maybe we'll all get to experience me washing the car together or detailing the car, because I know people would love to watch that, right?
Make sure you wear your white shirt.
Oh yeah, right. Gotta wear that. But I've been looking into the different car care products for the Fisker Ocean, and specifically for the matte finish, and that paint protection film, like you guys suggest, that would be a really good thing to have. And I still can't wait for Matt, when he gets the time, no pressure, to write that amazing article on the paint protection film, since he already has it. He's got great video of it for his Tesla Model 3. But that's one option. The other option I learned about, there's some sort of a type of I don't know, it's like a liquid where you end up putting a couple, 5 to 7 drops on like an applicator, a circular applicator, a very soft rag, and you wipe it on the paint and let it kind of dry, and then you wipe it off, kind of buff it off. And it's supposed to create some sort of like a bond. Yeah, it's like a ceramic bond on it to give it like it said anywhere between like a year and 3 years of protection. Granted, it could still get chips and things like that if a rock hits it. But I've been looking at that, and
makes it easier to clean.
Yeah, it was that, I think it's called like Dr. Beasley's or something like that. But they have a lot of products specifically for matte finishes, and it's gotten great reviews on Amazon. And that's, I trust the reviews on Amazon. That's probably one of the main reasons I shop on Amazon, is because most products usually have lots of reviews, and I love reading the reviews on Amazon. So the reviews were actually really good with a couple of the different matte finish products. So more on that in the future. So Henrik walked the line. We saw in that video, we ended up seeing some other stuff. So I'm gonna pause it on a couple things. We'll have a look. I don't know how well people are gonna be able to see it because it's a video taken on a cell phone, but I'm going to pause it when we get to the wheels. So we have right there, and hard to see. Maybe I can back up just a little there. So those are the F3 air gliders on the matte, actually not the matte, the Great White vehicle. And they do not have the carbon fiber inserts on them. And if you guys follow
I noticed that also.
Yeah, it's interesting. So I would imagine maybe when they ship them, maybe that's kind of like a finishing detail that they do at the location in the event. Maybe who knows why, but maybe they just haven't gotten around to putting them on yet. Who knows? But they weren't on there. And in a photo, so I zoomed in. I took a couple screenshots of this, and I don't have them for us to look right now. But I just for fun, personal. I took pictures of screenshots of those wheels and zoomed in super close, and you could actually see little dots in each of the I don't know what each of the dots in each of the patterns, like the I don't know, it looks kind of like a samurai, what is it called, like a throwing star or whatever. I don't know if that's called like a samurai throwing star or whatever the heck they call those things. Yeah, and it had a little dots like where that insert would kind of push and lock into place. There's probably some other locking mechanism, but when we were at Fully Charged Live, I was tapping on the back of them. The carbon fiber is hollow, so you can actually reach your finger around and touch where the carbon fiber insert would go. So somehow you press it on, you tap it on, and you can actually see the lug nuts on the vehicle when you zoom in. So the carbon fiber inserts cover up on top of the lug nuts. So if you ended up getting a flat or something like that, from the looks of it, you would have to remove the carbon fiber insert, unscrew the lug nuts, and then replace your tire or whatever you need to do. That's what I saw. I could be totally wrong, but maybe other people in the chat have seen the same thing and they can confirm it. But that's what I see.
Matt, the Tesla, don't they have covers for certain wheels also?
And I'd like to say I've been at the Tesla showroom when they get new cars in, and I noticed for when they got the Model Y with the 19-inch wheels, they didn't have the covers on, and I think they were kept in the trunk. So I think sometimes they ship them without the covers on, and they put them on when they get the car ready, like when they have to take the tape off and all that. They have protective white plastic on the cars. They have to take that off, and then they just get everything ready for delivery.
Cool.
Got it. Makes sense.
And do they cover the lug nuts also on the Teslas?
Yeah, there's a couple. The OEM ones actually, they actually. I'm trying to remember because I don't have them on mine right now. I have a third-party one, and it actually covers the bolts, or actually nuts in this case. So a lot of times they use it just to keep it tidier. They don't have to have fancy bolt covers or anything like that.
Gotcha.
But for the OEM Tesla ones, the bolts do show through.
Okay.
Yeah, and one of the effects, I think, when we looked at the Slipstream wheels over at Fully Charged Live, there's actually it's actually a nice design feature not showing the lug nuts. So having them covered up by that carbon fiber insert, and that carbon fiber insert, if you remember, I ran my finger around the whole pattern. It's all one solid piece from how, what I felt. And when someone gets them, I'm not choosing the slipstreams, but when someone gets them, we'll be able to hopefully ask them, hey, could you pop one off, take a picture, whatever, or I'm sure people will, and we'll be able to have a better look. Or maybe we'll be able to find out when we go to a Fisker lounge, and maybe we'll be able to play around with them there. Who knows? So that was one thing. Let's go ahead and have a look at some of the other things. So that was the first one. So there's another one. So the interior, now I believe, and Matt, you may be of the same opinion, but I believe that interior is the sea salt. I know there's been people who say that, well, there's a tan interior now in the black, Fisker Ocean in the night drive. Now it comes across with the lighting that it is not, kind of like a whitish grayish color. I'm still under the impression, until Fisker tells us otherwise, that that's sea salt interior. Do you have a thought on that?
Yeah, it's hard to tell. I mean, it does look in some of the video like it is a beige, but
it does, doesn't it?
But the actual, when you look at it, when they have the in-person show a Model 1, granted it's a year old, it had kind of a gray-white, a darker gray on the outside where the eco leather is, and then the center eco suede is kind of a whitish color. So
yeah. So like on that view right there, just on the end there, if I can get that, it looks like a different color from this angle. So we go with it looks kind of beige, and then right there, just in that little clip, it actually looks lighter. So it may be the yellow light, that fluorescent light potentially, that's kind of running across the whole end of that line. Now, coming up here on
shadowing.
It could be, yeah, absolutely. But people called that out, so we're calling it out here, and it's kind of neat. And something tells me it could be just my intuition, or maybe me just guessing, and a little bit of both. But I believe these vehicles here that we're seeing, these are going to be the ones that are going to be at the Fisker lounges. And the reason I believe that, and Fisker hasn't confirmed, but they did say there's going to be marketing vehicles made, right? But I believe these are going to be at the lounges. And the reason is because this Big Sur Blue. Now, if you look at the Big Sur Blue, boom, let's stop there. You see new wheels on it, right? And Fisker teased and said that those wheels are 2023 wheel options. They didn't come up with a name of what the name of those wheels are going to be, but they did say that that's a 2023 wheel option. So if you were putting a vehicle in a Fisker lounge, you might want to be a little forward thinking for 2023 and show 2023 wheels in 2023 at your physical experience center. So that's why I believe these are going to be at a Fisker lounge. But time will tell. We will find out when we go up to the experience center. And Matt, actually, that's Jim. Jim has a great view of this sneak peek. There you go.
Yeah,
so that's
I don't
a
like
much
them.
better view. Yeah, they're definitely thinner.
It's the same color pattern as the Air Glider. It's just what is it, 11 instead of 7 spokes?
Yeah.
They call them like maybe like turbines.
Yeah.
It does look like a turbine.
Almost like a razor blade, the ends of them.
Yeah, I don't like it.
Yeah, and one thing I noticed, and it's hard to do it, we can't do it justice. I don't know if you can zoom in, Jim. If you can, you can. If you can't, no worries. But they ended up doing some detail that I hadn't seen before in the lug nut cover that was on Henrik Fisker's test vehicle. The lug nut cover, for the first time, and it might be just because it's a better view of these, the actual lug nut cover says Fisker design on it. It actually has an imprint on it, which actually makes it look more polished and finished than previous lug nut cover that I've seen. So in order to change that wheel, you would pop off that black piece that's protruding around the Fisker badge, and that would allow you to take off your tire to unscrew your lug nuts and do whatever you need to do. I know there's a couple of people who wanted to know whether or not the Fisker Ocean is coming with a spare tire, and it's not. So you would need to carry like a can of like Fix-A-Flat or whatever you do, maybe a donut tire or something, if you have a fear of not needing or not having a replacement tire. But most vehicles built today do not have spare tires in them. A lot of vehicles also do not use run flat tires, which Fisker does not use run flat tires in these particular Bridgestones. So you're just going to be hoping and prayer, saying a prayer that hey, I'm not going to get a flat tire at a non-opportune time. But it doesn't seem to be like a huge issue, as Fisker will have a roadside assistance that you can call, like most car manufacturers or car companies do have. So that would be an option.
I've got 2 more wheels for you to show.
Yeah, let's see. Yeah, go for it.
All right. Let's take that one down. And I will give you... So this is ones that we have seen on the prototype. And let's see if I can get a hold of it here.
Yeah, while you're looking at that one, I'm going to throw up this one right here. So we saw Henrik Fisker share this one. I believe today he shared this one. So this was him coming back from India, him going to the factory at Magna. And as you can see on the screen, this is his post over on StockTwits. He says, at Magna right now, reviewing the vehicles being built this week, the machine is running. So that's his saying, his catchphrase, the machine is running. It's actually kind of neat. We talked about that last week at All Things Fisker. And this vehicle, I'm guessing that's Big Sur Blue, but with a different sheen on it, maybe due to the lighting. That doesn't look like Mariana to me. That looks like a Fisker Ocean in Big Sur Blue. Has those similar wheels that we talked about, right? Those, how many of our spokes those are? 10, 12? I didn't count them just a minute ago. But that looks beautiful to me with, without the, the metallic sparkle that Mariana has, which is also beautiful. I think that, this Big Sur Blue, I like it. It looks different in different lights. Different. It just looks different. so
the other one is a year old too, so it may not. They may have reformulated the paint just a little bit to make it a little more satiny. I'm not sure.
Yeah, it looks nice. I love it. So yeah, switched from the Great White Shark to the Big Sur Blue. Now you shared an image. Let's go ahead and take a look at that one. Okay, that one is a wheel that you love and a lot of people love. It's who knows what type of wheel that is. We've seen it on that solar orange Fisker Ocean, but we haven't actually seen it on a production intent.
Yeah, it was all on the concept cars. Yeah.
So
but
I've got one.
It's a nice looking wheel. Yeah, let's see the next one.
All right.
Oh.
And here we go.
So right now, for those that are just joining, we're having a look at the new features, the new ahas that we found in photos and videos since last week when Henrik Fisker went to Magna. So we went last week on Wednesday or Thursday, and then he flew to India from what we gather based on his post to talk to the press there about launching the Fisker brand. And then he flew back 2 nights ago, it sounded like, from India to Austria to Magna over in Graz. And he shared more images today. That's one that we just looked at with him in the line. And there was actually something else in that image. He's actually sporting a new jacket. Normally we see him in his Steve Jobs-like attire. Not saying he's Steve Jobs, but he wears the same black, it's not a turtleneck. Maybe it is a turtleneck. Not really a turtleneck, but it's like, I don't know, I don't know what it's called, like a long john. I don't know. That's probably the wrong term. But what's the term? What you guys know what I'm talking about? It's like the long sleeve shirt. It's a nice shirt. It's the Fisker shirt, right? You can actually buy them in the Fisker store. It has the little Fisker embroidered embroidery on it, and you have the little label, the Fisker orange label on it. So it's a nice shirt. But the jacket is actually nice. It's like a beige jacket. So we got to see that for the first time. And then we have these wheels. So these are the same wheels you just showed us, but all in black, right?
I want those. Yes.
Yeah, those are really nice. Those are really nice, but those currently aren't an option. But they might be, but not yet. So we'll have to stay tuned and wait to see what Fisker does with their 2023 wheel options. But the good news is we know that Fisker is clearly working on 2023 wheel options.
Right.
Last week we didn't know that. This week we know that. So that's actually pretty cool. That it should be exciting for people who will be able to make their final selections for their Fisker Ocean in 2023. For the people who have to make their final selections, this year or early next year for the Fisker Ocean 1, you're unlikely to get these options, but you never know. We'll have to wait for that configurator to come out next month. And next month is only like 3 days away. So it's not too far. Right now, as we said, today is day 49 until the official start of production in Graz, Austria of the Fisker Ocean. And it should be the Fisker Ocean 1, right? Those 5,000 limited edition vehicles. Both Matt and myself have one of those on order. Jim has a Fisker Ocean on order for 2023. Yep. So there we go. So that's that. I do have one more video, I believe. Let me have a quick look here. I think I have one more video of the Fisker Ocean. And here we go. Here's another one from today, and this is that cool jacket that I was talking about. Here we go.
Great. Very cool.
That's the sea salt.
Yeah, that's definitely sea salt, and that looked to me like it was a. I'll play it one more time without the sound. So that looks almost like it's a silver lining color too. It doesn't quite look white. It looks like it might be silver lining without the doors, obviously, and like you said, the sea salt. But yeah, it looks beautiful coming together on the line.
I think his jacket's new. I think he just got it out of the package.
That's what I actually wrote about that today, and I was like, do I make a comment on his jacket? People are going to be like, boy, this guy who writes this stuff, he really over the top with trying to describe the videos. But it almost looked like he just unfolded it out of a bag and like, hey, I got my new jacket. I'm going to sport it and show it off. And that's what I thought too, because I could see the square patterns like it
going off his merch.
Yeah, I like it. So I hope that one comes up. I hope that one is available for people who end up getting reservations or doing the referral program. That would be a cool jacket to wear. It's the Boss jacket, literally, right? We've only seen the Fisker Ocean Boss wearing that. So that's kind of neat. Now, here's some other photos that we saw. I think, was it maybe yesterday I think it was yesterday, but you guys can correct me in the chat. And I haven't looked at the chat. Maybe you have, Matt and Jim. You keep an eye on that bad boy. I'm juggling too many things over here with all these videos. So here we go. Here is the photos that we saw, and there's actually something pretty cool in these photos, and it's going to actually lead us. We're actually here. We should be right here. Hey, Fisker Ocean paint colors, interior, and wheels. That's kind of where we are in all things Fisker right now. So let's throw this image up here on the screen. These are the images from, where are they? Man, there's so many things on here. Okay, here we go. So here is a Fisker Ocean in great white. It looks really neat. You can see kind of a little bit of, it's definitely a side view. This is the first time, let me skip through these. This is the first time we're seeing something else for the very first time. So here it is on the screen. There is the Fisker Ocean in great white. I'm going to zoom in. Whoa, that's quite the zoom. And there's a couple of things here that we're going to call out. So first time we're seeing what appears to be the Fisker Ocean interior in Black Abyss. So that's not something that's actually been photographed before, and we don't have great images of it. So we'll go to the next one. There's a little bit better of a shot of the Fisker Ocean in Black Abyss. You can see it's definitely black. You look at the headrest. If you look close enough, I'm probably not doing it justice, but if you look close enough, you can actually see what appears to be what Fisker calls eco fabric. It definitely is not the same pattern as the eco leather, which is on the eco leather headrest, which is on, I think it's the eco leather headrest, but you definitely don't have any eco leather on the seat there. Even in the back of the seats, it doesn't appear to be any eco leather as well. You can kind of it's kind of like a dull, non-shiny texture. And that's what I would expect from a fabric like material. Unlike that leather, when we look at the eco leather, it's kind of shiny. It's got kind of a little sheen to it. So this is the first time we're seeing Black Abyss. This is going to come standard. It's my understanding this is going to come standard on all Fisker Oceans, but certain Fisker Oceans, and we wrote an article about it that has a diagram, and you can look at that. I don't want to, slip the tongue here and say something incorrect, but the Fisker Ocean 1, of course, is going to come with an option for, it's going to come with the Malibu. You have the option to upgrade or choose, I should say, at no additional cost, the Sea Salt or the Black Abyss in eco leather or the PU, the polyurethane like material. Now that Black Abyss material, the eco fabric, your Fisker Ocean is going to come standard with that, and certain trims give you an option to upgrade at an additional charge. We don't know what the cost is going to be for that. We're going to have to wait for the configurator. Hopefully the configurator has the prices. Maybe it will, maybe it won't. We don't know. So we're going to have to wait and see there. But it'll hopefully be the first time where we see high resolution images of this outside of the factory, where this is the very first time we're seeing it. So what are your guys' thoughts? Do you like the look of this, what appears to be eco fabric? What do you think? It's not like a great shot because we have a huge white cover over the front seat, but what do you think?
I'm guessing it's fine. I mean, it is hard to tell from that distance, but I guess that's going to be the base for the Sport. And does the Ultra come with fabric too?
It's my understanding that it does as well. Yeah.
Okay.
And then you're going to have to upgrade to a different option, and each one comes with different options. So that's why I said there's an article on our site if you want to go look at it. Just search interior, and it'll be the first result in the search. You can have a look at the diagram. I haven't memorized it from my in my head. There's quite a different combinations and trim levels, and but yeah, it's definitely a standard option on the Sport. And we do know, if I keep flipping through these images here, you actually have a Sport being built. So if you look at this order ticket here, that seems to be on every single Fisker Ocean that's being built. They have like these order tags, and it has the VIN number, which you can see up here. It has the trim level, and this says Sport, and it says 2-wheel drive. And then it has a couple letters, which I can't quite make out what it is, but there's an L and it says something right in front of it. So it has a little bit more detail that would help the workers at Magna build it. But yeah, so this is a Sport. So you can see the guts on the thing. Geez, there's so much going on under the hood here. For those that watched us over on the first stream at Fully Charged Live, we got a chance to see the interior, or the beneath the hood, if you will, of that Fisker Ocean over at that show, and it looked nothing like this. This is going to be, your front wheel drive, and there's a lot going on there.
Yeah, it's all the coolant. It looks like a lot of coolant lines. And then what you saw at the show was all the electronics is on top of that. So all of the converters, like the DC converter, AC, DC converter, all that stuff is going to be on top of this. And the motor is going to be on top. So
that's packed.
Yeah, it's going to be pretty full of stuff.
Yeah, I'd say. Yeah, so that was kind of a first. We saw a video last time the Fisker team went to the Magna factory, and this was when we learned about the taco tray, if people recall that, that outing, if you will. And when we saw, at the end of one of the videos, there was I forgot who mentioned it, but it was basically like the front end of a Fisker Ocean, and it was like all the guts, all the electronics, everything, including like the steering wheel and like how it should all be, but like there was no body surrounding any of the the technology and all the parts. So it was kind of a different construct of it, but that was kind of the first time where you could kind of see all the electronics and the guts, which would be under the hood. And who knows if that was a Fisker Ocean Sport, Ultra, or Extreme, but this is the second time that I've seen this. Now, here's an interesting thing. For those that hung out with us last Wednesday, we ended up showing some videos of the Magna factory, and we ended up showing videos of vehicles going through what looked like the paint booth at the Magna factory. We also then, after that, we ended up getting some good feedback and recorded a bunch of videos. There's a YouTube video on our channel that actually takes you through a variety of different production lines at Magna, and you kind of follow around a Mercedes-Benz G-Class as it gets built through the factory. So if you aren't familiar with the Magna Stair, they've made vehicles for BMW. They can and continue to make vehicles for BMW and Mercedes-Benz, Jaguar, Toyota, etc. And they did a good job of creating a interactive video, which I recorded, of going through, and one of the videos was actually installing windshields. That's why I bring it up. So this is an amazing contraption that actually takes the part called the windshield from some sort of stockpile, one at a time. So one gets fed every, 3 to 5 minutes from the stockpile. And this machine is guided by hand. It has suction cups on it. It grabs onto the windshield. And then the factory worker that you see there, there's two. The one that was on the left-hand side in the white shirt, he would guide the windshield over to the front of the vehicle, and he would work with the gentleman who's on the right to place the windshield exactly where it needs to go. Once they have it where it goes, they actually disconnected that machine and kind of walked it over to the side. And then they used their good old hands and started patting on top of the windshield to secure it in place, I'm guessing with some sort of adhesive. So that was a pretty cool process. I don't know if if you two had a chance to see that video. It was kind of a long video, and it's gotten some great feedback, but it was neat to actually see that process of a windshield being installed. In that same video, we saw the rear glass being installed, as well as some quarter panels on the side of the vehicle. So it was kind of neat. I've actually never seen that happen before. So there you have it. On this particular Fisker Ocean 2, if we go down here, once again, you can see that order ticket with the VIN number and the trim level of that Fisker Ocean. So why do I bring that up? Well, let me show you. I bring that up because we have actually something kind of neat. So here you go. And it didn't load. Here we go.
That's neat.
Hey, there you go. There it is. So that is the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration's website. They have something called a VIN, or Vehicle Identification Number decoder. And if we look at that paper, that order ticket that was on the front of the Fisker Ocean, it read VCF 1SAE 29PG 00020. Now, when we put that in, you end up getting all the specifications on the Fisker Ocean. And granted, that doesn't really look much like a Fisker Ocean, but it's
It looks like a
probably,
Tahoe.
yeah, it does, doesn't it? Or a Suburban or something.
Yeah.
So it's a multi-purpose passenger vehicle, model year 2023. The Fisker Ocean is now one step closer to becoming a sellable vehicle. So that's actually pretty neat. The Fisker Ocean has VIN numbers now. So they're assigning vehicle identification numbers to these vehicles. And that, is one step closer to November 17th. Now, when you're on this site, we did a post of this in the forum last night. So if you wanted to head over there, I think we linked to it as well in an article from earlier today. You can play around with this. You can look at it at your own time. But you hit show all vehicle details. There's like 14 pages of vehicle details. So they basically lay everything out from the vehicle has active safety, system 911 notification. Then it actually tells you the element. Automatic crash notification. It says, hey, keyless ignition. I don't know. There's all sorts of details. I don't know. Did Jim or Matt, did you have a chance to have a look at this?
No, I haven't had. I've had meetings all day, so I haven't been able to look at it.
Yeah. So it's got parking assist. Yeah, I know. This is what I do for part of the day. Parking assist, backup camera, blind spot intervention, lane keeping assist. It's got all these features in it: dynamic braking support, rear cross traffic alert, stuff that is pretty amazing. Crash imminent braking, forward collision warning, a lot of stuff we know. Some stuff actually we didn't know. Like on one of these screens, it actually said that the vehicle, I believe, weighs over 6,000 pounds. I found that kind of hard to believe.
I saw that.
That's what it said. Semi-automatic, that's a cool feature. Semi-automatic headlamp beam switching. So, hey, it needs to be brighter. You're in a dark area. It needs to be brighter. The headlamps are going to, probably brighten up a little bit. That's kind of neat. Daytime running lights. Okay, cool. Lane center assistance. I think you may have talked about that in a video, Jim. So there's just a lot of cool stuff in here. I'll let everybody kind of explore it on their own. I don't know what page, like wheelbase type, not mentioned, like ground clearance and stuff. But there's just so much stuff here. Here we go. The vehicle gross vehicle weight rating from Class 2E, 6,001 pounds to 7,000 pounds.
Gross vehicle weight also includes all of the passenger and cargo weight too.
Oh, correct? Good to know. Good to know.
Yeah.
I think the actual vehicle is probably about 1,500 pounds less than that. Least, probably.
Okay. Yeah, I think Tommaso told me that earlier today, actually, on the same forum post, and I think he's on here. So kudos to him. I didn't actually make mention of that. So thanks for calling me out on that one. That's good to know. So gross vehicle weight, that includes everything in it.
Yeah.
Got it.
That's supposed to be the maximum you can weight that car can be.
Got it. So we go through a little bit more. Let's see, make Fisker Inc., model Fisker Ocean. Where was it made? Plant City Garage. That's kind of neat. Austria.
It's interesting they call it a multi-purpose passenger vehicle. Usually that's like a minivan type of designation, isn't it?
MPV.
MPV?
Yeah, I saw that it said that, but then in another part it said SUV and MPV. So I'm not sure whether they're sure what they're going to classify it as, but I think it may have been like the first or second page that you were on, Sean, that had that both of them listed. But
so it's that particular vehicle that we saw, forward front wheel drive. But you guys can look at that in more detail. Actually, you look at that; it has all the different airbag locations. That's kind of crazy. And it says EU specs. So I've noticed, and maybe you guys have noticed as well, but some of the Fisker Oceans, maybe even all the Fisker Oceans that have come off the production line, they appeared to have front license plate holders that would fit like an EU license plate.
Wired.
Yeah, and then I saw one photo. I think it was a photo today. It might have been the one of Henrik Fisker standing to the side of it. And let's see, do I have? I don't think I have that one up. It was the one that he was on StockTwits. That one looks a little bit thicker, where it could potentially be a U.S. Front license plate holder. So let's take a look at that one real quick. So that was kind of interesting. I don't know if I zoom in over there. That one looks like it could have 4 holes, maybe for like I don't know if you would use 4 holes, but
Seems awful big.
yeah, it still looks
It
awful
seems
big.
like it would support both. If you look at the hole,
Yeah,
it looks
it's
like
both. One here, one here. There,
I hope that's optional because I hate when cars come with them. I have a state that's no front license plate, so I like to have it.
Yeah, aren't you lucky? We're supposed to have it too. I've taken it off of the Tesla. I never usually put a front license plate on, and I ended up getting. Me and my wife were out on a walk in Encinitas, and the local municipality there, or maybe even the sheriff, whoever it was, they ended up ticketing like 7 or 8 Teslas all within a vicinity, a couple blocks, for not having a front license plate. So I ended up paying, I went home, got my license plate, got some 2-sided sticky tape, stuck it on the license plate, slapped my hand, much like the people apply the windshield, slapped it on with my hand, drove over to the city hall, and they actually wrote the ticket off. I had to pay $10 for a processing fee, and it took me like 2 hours of my time to do. And I did that probably 6 months ago. So I'm not a big fan of the front license plate either. And if that piece can come off, I will certainly, be one of the first that take that off the vehicle.
I think most of the time they're optional, depending on. I mean, sometimes a dealer will put them on. But I mean, you can always request it not to be put on. I think, doesn't Tesla?
Tesla gives you an option. Yeah, they give you an option to take it on or off, to have it installed.
Yeah, I think mine was in the trunk. It was near where the charger cord was.
There you go.
I would expect the same.
Yeah, there was like a toggle when I ordered mine where you could say, "Hey, install it ahead of time or not," and I chose the not option. So that's kind of neat. So the company is definitely has all their ducks in a row. They've got their flight checklist, if you will, and they're ticking the boxes one by one. And the VIN numbers, that was kind of the first time where the order ticket, if you want to call it an order ticket, was so visible where you could zoom in and decode what was on there. And I ended up finding that on StockTwits, actually, for the people that actually posted it there. So kudos to them, and they're the ones who get credit for that. So that was actually pretty neat, and I thought people would enjoy seeing that. So that was pretty cool. Now, as I mentioned before, Henrik ended up going from Magna to India and then back to Magna. So he's been flying all over the place. One could say he's working overtime, if you will, and granted, he probably doesn't get paid overtime, and I don't think he takes much of a salary, if one at all, but he's been working overtime, and he flew from Austria to India, back to Austria, and when he was over in India, he had an opportunity to do an interview with a couple different outlets, Reuters being the one that I saw, and that was, I think, on Friday, and it was a really good write-up on Fisker's ambitions for India. So I don't know how many people have had a chance to see that, but the stock market was down drastically on Friday. Well, it's been down a lot all the time. Last week it got obliterated, down I think like 4 or 5%. Friday was one of the worst days of last week, and Fisker bucked the trend on Friday with the report out of Reuters. So I thought that was actually kind of interesting. So I wanted to call that out. Here is the quote that Reuters had in their article, and it said, India will go full electric. It may not go as fast as US, China, or Europe, but we want to be one of the first ones to come in here. Ultimately, if you want to have somewhat of a larger volume in India, you almost have to start building a vehicle here, or at least do some assembly. If we can get that vehicle just below $20,000 locally in India, that would be ideal. Then I think we'll get to a certain volume in market share. already we are starting to build some relationships. Henrik Fisker, chairman and CEO of Fisker Inc. So I thought that was kind of an interesting quote that was from the article. And the article actually from Reuters ended up basically stating that the company plans to launch its brand in India by importing and selling the Fisker Ocean in July of next year. So that means 2023. It stated that Fisker is looking for commercial space for its lounge experience centers in the country. And reportedly, Fisker is also in talks, as Henrik mentioned in this quote, local auto part makers for local production, but local production wouldn't start until 2026. So I thought that was actually kind of neat. That was, we knew Fisker was going to India. We didn't know exactly when. He did mention over on the the Cohen Investor Conference, he did allude to both India and China ambitions. And now we get an actual write-up of, from Reuters, who's reporting from India. So he did, he's over at Magna. He shows off the vehicles, walking the line, does some test drives on that Thursday, and then he hops on a plane, goes over to India, checks out, Hyderabad. I think that's where their engineering office is, and then he gets his interview done, hops back on a plane, heads back to Graz, Austria, and we get more photos and videos out of Fisker and Henrik. So I thought that was actually kind of neat. And then earlier this week, for those that have been following along, there's this. Fisker ends up announcing that they're going to the 2022 Fisker, the Paris Auto Show, or I don't even know how to pronounce what it's called. It's, Mondial des Auto, something like that. Mondial des Auto. I'm guessing that means auto show. Anybody?
I could ask my wife. She's the French speaker. So
hey, there you go. No. So I thought that was actually kind of neat. So we have the Oslo Motor Show coming up. We have the European tour continuing with the Paris Auto Show, and then Henrik ended up mentioning in that particular press release that the company is going to end up opening up Fisker Lounge in 2023 after the company, or sometime around when the company starts deliveries. And I think they mentioned deliveries starting in Paris in April of 2023. And those will obviously be left-hand drive vehicles, unlike the right-hand drive vehicles that are in the United Kingdom. The company is going to open up their Paris Experience Center called the Fisker Lounge. And they also, just like they said, I believe it was in Stockholm, I think it was. Hopefully I got that right. It might have been I think it was Stockholm. The Fisker Lounge plus the Center Plus. That's what I wanted to say. The Center Plus. So Center Plus. We don't have a lot of details on what a Center Plus is, but it's the Fisker Lounge Center Plus, and that might be for service. We don't have too much more details on that at this time, but kind of neat. Companies making moves. They're setting up their Fisker lounges in various major cities around the world. So we have Munich launching sometime at the end of the year, Los Angeles just north of me, November of this year, and then we have Paris and bunch of other places. Oslo, I think it was Oslo, actually. Might have been Oslo, where that experience center was. I think I said Stockholm, but I think it was Oslo. So anyhow, that's kind of neat. We don't have any new pop-up locations other than this one, if you even want to call this a pop-up location. We also don't know if the Fisker production intent vehicles will be at the show. So we don't know if it's going to be that Fisker Ocean and Silver Lining that's going to end up there, or if it will be one of the four that we saw from last week, or maybe the Fisker Ocean Sport from this week. Who knows at this point? But that is all things Fisker for the week. That's where we are with episode 3. I think we covered a lot of ground, gentlemen, and now it comes down to any questions that may be in the chat. And I've only looked at the chat once when I did that poll, so I don't know what's there. But I do want to say for the 91 people that are watching on the Fiskerati channel, Oh, now it says 93 people. For the people who are watching on the Fiskerati channel, if you haven't already subscribed to our channel, please go ahead and hit the subscribe button. There's already, let's see here, there's already 46 likes on this video. There's 94 people watching. It would be great if the other people who haven't hit the like button could go ahead and hit the like button if you've enjoyed what the three of us have brought you this evening. So go ahead and hit the like button on whatever stream you're watching this on. We greatly appreciate that. If you're on the Fiskerati channel, there's also, I believe, a join button down below. If you hit the join button, it'll actually tell you about the Fiskerati membership program, the membership perks that we are in the process of building out. So you can take a look at that. That helps support our channel. I believe Jim's channel has something very similar to that as well. And Matt's does not.
Just subscribe.
Just subscribe. Yeah, just subscribe. That actually helps a lot for all of us if you just subscribe to our channel. So we're going to go ahead and start the questions now. Take a look. If there's something that you have a question about, please go ahead and post it in the YouTube chat, and we'll go ahead and read it out loud. And
I got one.
here.
Somebody was asking about CarPlay. Have you noticed that Henrik had made a comment, I think it was either today or yesterday, about not including CarPlay, or that it's
I did see
may
that.
not be included.
He talked about, like, someone did ask something about CarPlay and the UI in general. Let me see if I can find the. Let me see if I can find it. It's on Instagram. I think it's 2 posts ago, and it had to do. I think he was being facetious. I think he was talking about, like, building the best UI. Let me find it here, and we'll just read it off here. So, Henrik Fisker, go ahead and read the next question if you guys see one. It might take me a minute here to find this. Maybe I can find it. But yeah, in the past, so I'll kind of talk through it while you guys are looking for the next question. So Fisker ended up doing a very sneaky post on Instagram a while back where he actually included hashtags. He was talking about the UI, and he included hashtags with, like, CarPlay, Apple, which made people start thinking that, like, well, maybe CarPlay is going to be in there. Why would he use the hashtag CarPlay? This was around the time when people were talking about the unfinished UI and what, is it going to be any good? And will it support Android Auto? Will it support CarPlay? So the post that somebody did, actually, I can't find it. There's so many comments here. Having a hard time finding the actual question as well as Henrik's reply, but more or less, when I looked at that, people can go search the comments if they want. But I think I'm still under the impression that, and it's not confirmed by the company whatsoever, but I'm under the impression, based on Henrik's posts on Instagram and replies, that the UI might support CarPlay. Like, I've never had a car that has CarPlay. I've never had a car that has Android Auto. If it does, great. If it doesn't, not the end of the world. I think companies can build great user experiences, good interfaces without, relying solely on CarPlay. And I think some companies out there, and you guys probably could agree to it. I think, Jim, you mentioned something with your ID4. Companies that rely heavily on, CarPlay or Android Auto, sometimes they totally blow the UI altogether and have a really budget, experience implementing, CarPlay or Android Auto. So I wouldn't, I'm not under the impression that, like, the UI isn't going to be good if it doesn't support CarPlay, or if it does, the UI is going to be, the UI, and it can be a great experience even if it doesn't support a third-party option like Android Auto or CarPlay. But based on what I've seen, and it's not what I've actually heard or what has been confirmed by the company, I'm under the impression that Android Auto is going to be supported because they have so many Android engineers. There's been a couple job postings that talk about Android Auto And then Henrik's tweets, not tweets, but posts to Instagram using hashtags CarPlay, hashtag Apple, things like that. Like, why even tease people about that? And maybe he's having fun.
Yeah.
Who knows? Maybe he can do that if he wants to.
The actual operating system is going to be most likely Android Automotive, which is what also Polestar uses.
Okay.
And Polestar did add CarPlay to it, even though it's an Android system. So there's nothing to, that would eliminate if it was based on Android Automotive operating. So it's something they could always add. If it's not in right now, it could be an over their update and add it later. So
that's right.
And I watch Brandon Flash. He had a Polestar, and he was talking about the Android system, and the Android Automotive system that they run is different than Android Auto. It is not the same thing. So the app is not the same as the system.
Got it.
And I believe Ford is switching over to all Android Automotive also instead of running their sync now. So it's getting to be pretty big for the Android Automotive.
Yeah.
As long as the UI is, a good experience all around, I could care less if it has Android Auto or CarPlay. As long as it has like a Bluetooth option where I can connect my device, I'd be happy with that.
Well, like if on the Volkswagen ID4, the routing and navigation, the navigation works fine, but routing to chargers and stuff like that, if it wasn't for us being able to hook our phones and use our Android Auto and use Google Maps and stuff like that, it really would cause some problems. I mean, their maps are not the greatest. There's times where we would take we live in the Midwest. We have a lot of country roads. It would tell me that I needed to go all the way 20 miles out of my way because it didn't see the country roads that are from my house to the other town. And I could save 20 minutes just by taking the country roads. Google Maps had that, but the Volkswagen one didn't have that. I have those roads on there. So that could cause a problem for some people if the navigation is not good. It needs to have a good navigation. I believe they'll do that, and I believe it needs to have a good routing, charging route for it. So
that'd be
those are the
ideal.
two primary things. If it's got that, I don't care whether I can connect my Android Auto or not to it.
Makes sense. Yeah, I haven't used Apple Maps for, I don't know, since Apple Maps was launched. I don't know how many years ago, 5 years ago. I had a couple bad experiences where Apple Maps at the beginning of when it launched directed me into some of the worst parts of San Diego, and I'm like, okay, I'm done using Apple Maps. Never had an issue with Google Maps. I would have preferred MapQuest if people remember that one than the Apple Maps. So we have a question here, and don't forget to remind me. Like, we still have to talk about the federal EV charger stuff. That's here too. But we do have a question that came back close to the beginning of the show, and the person said, "Wonder what that clunk was as he was swerving." So here you go. Here's the video again.
Pretty good in the elk test, the moose test. Let's do the moose test. Okay, now we do the moose test.
So someone said, "What's that clunk?" That was, that we heard when he was swerving. You could hear a. Is it the passenger, hitting against the side of the door? Who knows? 'Cause someone's filming him from the side, right? Someone's filming him from a side.
Yeah.
So they could be just every time he is turning the wheel, they just keep smashing into the wall.
Yeah.
That'd be my best guess. Your guess is as good as mine. I don't know, but that was the question, and I like watching that video, so that was a great time to play that video again.
Somebody asked about the tow package, that they believed it was an option, and I said, and yeah, it is an option. I think it's just a complete option for all trim levels. I don't think it's a standard on any of them. I don't believe.
Now, there's and they haven't released any more details on that. I actually have let's see here. I do have something. Maybe I can find it. Maybe I can't. Not doing a good job of searching for things today. But they do have some sort of. Let's see here. Reply. Can I find it? Towing details. Let's see here. So let's see here. While the Fisker Ocean 1 does not currently have an option to add a tow hitch, we will have the option as an after-sale upgrade. Please stay tuned for more details about our tow hitch and additional accessories. We're targeting the below towing capacities: Fisker Ocean Ultra Extreme and Ocean 1 tow capacity, 4,000 pounds. Fisker Ocean Sport tow capacity, 2,040 pounds. There you have it. We do have a question with regards to the roll down rear window. So the person basically says, with a roll down rear window, no wiper is possible. No? I don't know. That's a good question. I've never owned a vehicle that I can think of that has had a rear window that has rolled down. I have had a couple vehicles that have had wipers on the rear of the vehicle, the Ford Expedition being one, a Toyota, I think a Honda CRX, another. I haven't had too many vehicles that have had a rear wiper, and neither of those vehicles had a roll down rear window. Have you guys ever had a roll down rear window vehicle?
I personally never owned one, but I'm quite certain there's at least a Range Rover or some other vehicle that has a top mounted, where the spoiler is, wiper, but the window can still go down because the wiper's up top above
Oh
it.
yeah.
So yeah, you can't have a bottom one because of the way the window, it would go through it. So, but if it's roof mounted, it could work.
Got it. All right. Thank you, Matt. Next question we got here. Let's see here. Let's see. To still see, I don't even know if let's see. To still see when windshield is dirty is cool, but what if the camera gets dirty? You got to clean the camera. Maybe that little digital rearview camera needs a little tiny wiper on it.
Well, hey, I got something for you. The Bolt EV actually has a little spray that sprays that backup the digital camera. It actually has a little spray on it, which is a neat little feature.
That is neat. So it's kind of like a high pressure nozzle that keeps it clean.
Yeah, just
There you
spray
go.
it on the lens.
Our Volkswagen ID4 does the same thing with our rear view camera. Whenever you turn the spray on, actually to spray the back window for the wiper, it sprays the camera also.
So someone else has a question about that rear view camera. And they say, how will the camera work with rain and snow? I would imagine rain is,
Same
go
as
for
your
it.
backup camera. I mean,
So if it ends up getting water on the lens, will the breeze of the air around the vehicle, will that keep it dry enough to be able to see out the rear view camera?
I have really never noticed any issue using the backup camera, and it's going to be similar to that, so I wouldn't think there would be an issue. Plus, it's mounted up higher; it's at the top of the car.
True.
It's not down low where your backup camera is. So I would say it probably wouldn't be a problem. Plus, you have that rear. Fisker has that kind of a rear spoiler thing that comes out, and that camera is going to be up flush underneath that. So wind, snow, everything is going to be running over the top of that and
Protecting
not being spraying right on it. So,
and like I mentioned earlier in tonight's episode number 3 of All Things Fisker, we don't very rarely wash our Tesla Model 3, which has a rear backup camera, and as dirty as the back of our vehicle gets, like you can wipe your finger on the license plate, the rear bumper, whatever you want to wipe your finger on the rear, and you get like a cake of black soot. I don't know if you guys get that on your vehicles, but in California, it's, at least over here, it's really, really dusty, really, really dirty. Maybe that's just road grime. But even with all that stuff that's on the back of the car, when we turn on the rear view camera, you can see at it perfectly fine. So I'm guessing that camera, even though as small as it is and tucked away above the license plate, it still could have that brake dust on it, and you can still see clearly through it. So I wouldn't imagine, rain or snow having an issue. I did see a really cool, I thought it was kind of funny, and I don't have it up. Maybe you know where it is, Matt. But somebody posted an image online of a Tesla vehicle in the snow with like the door handles being completely frozen shut. I thought that was actually kind of funny. Who knows how exactly the Fisker door handle would, work in the freezing cold if the car has been rained on, would the door handle get stuck as well? Who knows?
If it's under like a 1/4 inch of ice or something, most cars are going to have a hard time.
There you go.
But the one time I had an issue with my car when I parked outside and it was really cold, I just had the preheat turned on for 15 minutes and it melted anything that I had an issue with. So, just turn your heat on high and it usually melts everything.
There you go. So Bill Hurt, who joins us quite a bit, he made a comment when we were talking about that rear view camera, and he said, the angle is wrong to be a reflection. That's a screen. So that was a good call out. Mm-hmm. Let's see here. Going through. Yeah, quite possible. I'm probably only halfway through here. Just scrolling through the comments for those that have them. If you guys want to pull up some of your links, or I can pull one up here while I'm doing this, and we can end up talking about the federal EV charging. That'd be kind of fun. You guys had some information that you thought might be of interest to the group here. Somebody says, let's see here. No, that's a question to somebody else in the chat.
I think mine's on my other computer. I don't think.
Okay, here I'll throw one up here. I got the highway.
I have the one with the map if you want to see that.
Oh yeah, the map is good.
So, let me do share window, and I'll make it large. Can you see that?
Yeah. There you go. There you go. So that says fiscal year 2022-2023 EV infrastructure deployment plans. And we posted something like this earlier in I think maybe end of last week, beginning of this week in the Fisker Audi forums. And it actually had to do with the states who had submitted a plan for their EV infrastructure. And at the time, that particular chart that Matt's sharing on his screen, it had about 35 or 37 states who had their plan reviewed and approved by the Department of Transportation. Now, looking at that particular map, 100%, it looks like, of all the states now have an approved EV charging plan. Does that look about right?
Yeah. The one that I saw, the same one you were talking about, Sean. And it said something like the 35 were just the first ones that were approved. Everyone else is apparently approved, but it's going to be released on a rolling schedule is the way I understood it.
Yeah. So what was your biggest takeaways, Matt, of or even you too, Jim, from this EV infrastructure deployment plan? It looks like there's going to be substantial number of chargers being deployed to each state over the coming years.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I know my state had a pretty detailed plan. I don't know if it's downloading it.
I'm trying to
here. Yeah. And it was talking about how they have different routes that they're looking at doing. Mm-hmm. I'll bring it up here. Our state, it's showing all the different corridors that they're going to be highlighting. And, their usual interstates and also state roads and stuff like that are important, east, west, or north, south. I'm sure most states have important highways that they want to cover so that people can have, I think the requirement was a minimum of 50 miles that they would have chargers on those routes.
Yeah.
And they would have at least, I think it was 4, if I'm not mistaken, high DC fast chargers on each of those stops. So at this point, I guess they're going to be gathering information of where the best sites are. And there's already networks with Tesla, Electrify America, EVgo. I don't know if they're going to be piggybacking off of any of those or finding areas that are dead spots that, aren't fulfilled right now. So, I think that's a good thing to do. Areas that are that don't have any charging, fill those first. I think that's important.
Yeah, what I read in the California report, it said California is committed to reducing emissions from the transportation sector by increasing the adoption of zero-emission vehicles. Through legislation, regulatory action, and executive orders, California is making the transition across markets from passenger cars to heavy-duty trucks. And then this is the part that was interesting. To support widespread adoption of electrical vehicles, California is striving to deploy 250,000 public and shared private electrical vehicle chargers by 2025 and forecasts the need for 1.2 million chargers by 2030 for light-duty vehicles and 157,000 chargers for medium and heavy-duty vehicles. So I thought that was actually kind of interesting. That was in the California report.
The one thing that I read that I thought was kind of interesting when they were talking about spreading those fast DC fast chargers 50 miles apart, the only requirement that it has to have was 150 kilowatt charging is what I read, which is fine.
Minimum,
most
right?
cars
Yeah.
Huh? I mean, most cars right now.
150 minimum would be good.
Yeah. Right, minimum would be good, but I believe that was the only requirement. That was the requirement was 150. So hopefully they go above that. But most cars right now, the average cars all pull less than 150. You have a few that go over 150, and then you've got your high end ones that will pull 250 to 300 or something, or 350. But even at that, when you get into that 300 to 350 range, then you got cables getting hot. It's shutting itself down early. It's thermal throttling, I guess, itself when it gets too hot, and so it really doesn't benefit you. But if they're only 50 miles away and you're on a 150 charger, that is going to be plenty. You got 15-20 minutes, and you'll have probably 150 to 200 miles that you can go to get to your next charger. So I just thought it was interesting that they made the point of 150 kilowatts. I don't know. Maybe those are cheaper. Maybe those chargers are cheaper than the 350s. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I'm sure. I'm sure the lower power requirements have less beefier internal components and stuff too. So yeah, I would think the 350s cost more.
And speaking of chargers, we ended up getting that information. So if you guys saw the article that I published earlier in the week, there was an article about Fisker, or actually it talked about Fisker publishing a new FAQ on their site around EV charging, specifically that Wallbox partnership. And one of the details in there was around how long would it take for a Fisker Ocean to charge, or at what rate would a Fisker Ocean charge using the Wallbox charger that's going to be offered for sale on their site. And I think it said it was like 15 to 20 miles in range per hour, if I recall. Yeah, you might be right. 20 to 30. I should double check that one. But yeah, let me pull it up here real quick. I'm gonna share that one real quick.
To me, that sounds like. Do we know the amperage on that Wallbox? Did we see that?
It's not on the FAQ, but I want to pull up the FAQ. So home charging solutions is the new one. So that's actually something new that's come up since the last time.
20 to 30 miles
chatted.
per hour. That kind of sounds like a 38 amp to me.
Yeah, I was going to say that sounds slower than a 40.
Yeah.
So here it is on the screen, the home charging solution. So this is a new ad since last time. The section that I was talking about was right here. How long will it take to charge my Fisker Ocean using a Pulsar home charger? The Fisker Wellbox home charger will add an estimated 20 to 30 miles. There you go. Or 32 to 48 kilometers of range per hour, depending on your battery and country. This is enough to fully charge overnight for most owners. So that is some new information that I
bet that's the NEMA 1450 plug. I'm thinking if it was the hardwire version, it would be between 30 to 40.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah, they don't list that on here. So that was probably the most important detail. Maybe that's not a huge detail, but I thought that was actually interesting. The other thing that they mention on here, other than we don't know what it's going to cost yet, they actually talk about the Fisker Ocean. I want to find it. It's further down. How the charger actually isn't a supercharger. So the Wallbox Pulsar Plus and Pulsar Max superchargers, no, the Fisker Wallbox charger is a home charging station that provides AC power to the vehicle. This differs from a public fast charger, CCS, or supercharger, which provides DC power to the vehicle at a high power level. So it's interesting that they put that distinction on there. One would think most people would know that that's not a supercharger. I don't think they end up putting on here that it's a level, there it is, a level 2 charger. So they do mention that. But yeah, I thought it was funny that they actually called out and said it was it's not a supercharger. So for those that didn't know, it's not a supercharger. It's a home charger. It's a level 2 charger, and it will be faster than a level 1 charger. So that's all the details they gave us. The other thing here too, and I don't know what to make of this, maybe nothing. Maybe Matt and Jim, it says the Pulsar Max, that's the charger going to be available in Europe. It says it provides 230 to 400 volts, mode 3 home charging, and a compact design with many connected smart charging features. Is that exciting to you or not? Not really?
That's because, they have 3-phase in Europe, so it supports higher voltage than US systems.
And then the US version, the Pulsar Plus, provides 240 volts level 2 home charging in a compact design. So we talked about voltage last week, I believe. We do have a couple more questions as I ran through here. One of them was, when can I select my rim and Keller? I registered in June of 2022. If you haven't already pre-ordered your Fisker Ocean, I'm assuming you're in the United States since you're up. Then again, you could be the person from Germany. Not sure. But if you're in the US, Fisker had opened up pre-ordering of the Fisker Ocean Sport, Ultra, and Extreme around the time when that old EV federal tax changes were happening. And that would have been a brief period of time where you would have been able to go in and pre-order your Ocean. As far as selecting your rims or your wheels and your Keller, your paint, you can go do that right now in the configurator and save it to your account. But it really doesn't make a difference until you actually pre-order your Fisker Ocean. So stay tuned to your email. Fisker contacts everybody by email when it's your turn to actually pre-order your vehicle. So make sure that you check your email on a regular basis. And I wouldn't expect Fisker sending something out in the next couple of weeks about pre-ordering. It's probably going to be shortly after the in November 17th official start of production. I believe for people outside of the United States, it's November 18th is the date when pre-ordering will open up for everywhere outside of the United States. We don't know too much about the US allocation of the Fisker Ocean Extreme. Those did not look like they sold out like the Ultra or the Sport. So we don't know if Fisker is going to open that up again for US customers for that US allocation of the Extreme, if and when they will, who knows. So yeah, keep looking in your email as time progresses, and maybe you'll get lucky and see a pre-order email where it will make a difference when you select your wheel and color choice. The Fisker 3D configurator will be out next month in October, and that'll give you a chance to play with it. Maybe they'll let you select stuff too. We don't know what's going to be a part of that experience, but that might be a time where you can select a wheel and color option and look at more high-res images, that 3D look. So there's that question. The next question, what is the underlying reason for not having spare tires for EVs? The vehicle is really heavy. I don't think it's necessarily an EV thing, as it is just companies trying to cut costs and not include things that make the cost of a vehicle be higher. I don't know how much a spare tire costs. Say it's $200, $250, $300. They're going to charge you that price. So to keep the cost of the vehicle down, they don't include the spare tire. Maybe you two have another idea. Is that what you would imagine?
No, I mean, the trucks don't. If you go through and like configure an F-150 or something, it will ask you. It's an option for a full-size spare. So it's just what they do now. There might be some that have and include them, but most don't anymore. It's kind of like the charging cord.
So it's really just to keep the cost down.
I think it's for EVs, it's the weight too and the space, because the battery pack take up so much, and sometimes there's just not a lot of extra space. But yeah, it's a lot of it is to save cost.
Got it. Rosanna had a question. Do you think the configurator is coming really soon? Well, I hope the configurator comes within the first week of October, but I think that might be wishful thinking. The reason I say that is because my lock date was 10/10. However, I haven't gotten the email to confirm that 10/10 date. But if my build gets locked, I would much prefer to, on 10/10, I'd much prefer to be able to look at the 3D configurator before having to make that final selection on Big Sur blue air gliders and the Black Abyss. Roof rack, is that going to be an option? According to Fisker's FAQ, it is. What's October 31st? October 31st, Fisker said they were going to start telling people when vehicles would be delivered. That's in the FAQ as well. We have an article on our site. If you type in deliveries, you can find that one. How will Fisker provide customer service in the United States? That's a good question. Customer service. Well, they do provide customer service today by sending email to support@fiskerinc.com or going to their website or mobile app and doing the chat with a rag giver. I don't know if that's what you're referring to. That was Anthony. I think that, here we go. Well, let's, how well do you think the solar roof will do against ice, hail, etc.? Well, I can't speak specifically for the Fisker Ocean solar sky roof or the open sky roof or the big sky, the big sky. I think it was a big sky, open sky, and solar sky roof. But the Tesla Model 3 glass, we've been in a hailstorm. We've been in a rainstorm. We've had, unfortunately, sandstorm. The hailstorm probably the most intense, and it just hit the glass roof and kind of rolled off. That's while we were driving. If we were sitting by, like, they weren't golf ball size hail. I have seen golf ball size hail before, and that puts dents in some people's car. But yeah, the glass, I wouldn't expect I wouldn't expect it to break. It's got to be pretty high. And if it does break, I would imagine it being tempered glass too, to some extent. It's got to probably be tempered glass for safety reasons.
Yeah, I would assume, they look at this, car manufacturers look at this, they're going to put glass across the top. They have to know what's going to happen if that car rolls over and what that glass is going to do. So they don't want the glass to break and hurt, damage, hurt people. So there's got to be a way that that glass stays adhered together, even though that it does break. So, but yeah, we've been in hail with ours too, and no issues with our glass roof.
So someone has a question about the tax credit. A guy by the name of Jim Richmond, he says, if we take delivery of our Fisker in 2023 but ordered it in July of 2022 with a $5,000 non-refundable deposit, will that qualify us for a tax credit for year 2022 or 2023? So if you take delivery of it in 2023, assuming your state and the IRS accepts it as eligible for that EV tax credit, then it would be in the year in which you're filing your taxes. You got to take delivery of the vehicle.
It's when you take the vehicle is when you can file your taxes. You can't file your taxes for 2022 when you don't have the vehicle. You have to have a VIN number. You have to have all that stuff when you do that.
Yeah. So and the best thing too, the best advice that we can give, and we're not tax people, the best advice we can give is go speak to a tax person in your area. That's probably the best thing, you could do. Here's a question.
Sorry, I just want to add one more thing is the IRS is supposed to give a final, I guess, for 2022, sometime in January, what they're going to be doing for the electric vehicle tax credit. So I would hold on and wait and see what IRS says, because the IRS is they determine. So you got to do what they say. So I would wait to January and see what they do, because they may have a revised form for the year, and we don't know. So
or the other. On one hand, you follow what they do. On the other hand, you don't follow what they do. You do whatever you want, and you end up in the slammer. But it's a free country. You do as you wish. There's a question for you too. What do you think about the solar sky roof?
Go ahead, Matt.
I mean, personally, if it was an option, I wouldn't get it. It's included with my one, so there's nothing I can do about it. I park my car in a garage at work and at home, so most of the time it's gonna not see the sun, which is kind of a waste. But I could see if I did have outside parking and stuff, I think it could be useful. We do get a good amount of sun in North Carolina, but I don't know if it was down to like an option, and some people are guessing it could be possibly worth like $5,000 on the price of a one. It is a lot of money for something that's giving you very few miles. I'd rather take that $5,000 and put it on my roof of my house where it would get sun every day, I just don't think it's very cost effective.
Yeah, I agree.
And my take on it is maybe some of you have seen this. So there's Henrik Fisker. He's driving, doing that moose test, the elk test, and you can see the solar sky roof directly above his head, and you have all the different grid pattern, right? And as you can see, he's currently in sunny, it looks to be like a sunny or very bright Graz, Austria, and he's wearing his black. This is the black shirt that I like that he wears. It's like God, there's a thermal. That's what I was looking for, thermal. So it's like thermal material, and you can see the imprint or the shadows from the sun and the pattern reflecting on his clothing, all the way up to his hand, actually, right here, and a little bit right there. So I'm kind of a little sensitive to light and things like that. Maybe I can zoom in there though. You can see it on his clothing. So to me, the verdict's still out. I think it's neat, like both Matt and Jim said. Unfortunately, like Matt and myself, I park the car all the time in the garage because we don't have outdoor parking where I live. So I'm not going to benefit from the sun. So if I want to take advantage of that, I'll have to park it outside for the day. Maybe that's what I'll do, just to experiment with it and things like that. To me, it might end up being more of a novelty than it's going to actually be something that I benefit from greatly. I do think that the open sky and even the big sky, which comes on the lower trim, the Sport, looks really beautiful, being just open, glass with no pattern on it. I do think, though, that the Fisker Ocean solar roof from the exterior actually looks quite incredible with the grid pattern on the top. Yeah. But as a subsequent, on the flip side, well, now you see that grid pattern displayed on the screen, or on the screen right now on Henrik's shirt. So I was talking about in the forum earlier this week about tinting, and if I were to put like a 5% or 15% tint on the roof of the solar sky roof, one, will that have any impact on, the solar rays and just the solar, power in general? Will it, hurt the solar? Will it end
Only
up?
if it's installed on the inside, it makes no difference.
Yeah, it shouldn't, right? Yeah, that's what I was thinking. It shouldn't because it's underneath it, right?
Right.
And then if I used a 5% or a 15% tint,
It would get rid of the grid.
Yeah, would it get rid of the grid?
Yeah.
Do you think it really would?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, so that's probably what I'll end up. Probably what I'll end up doing.
I wouldn't want to be the one installing that upside down. I'm sure that'll be a pain.
Maybe the same people who install the paint protection film will be able to install the
Usually,
the tint.
it might cost you another $4,000, but
That's funny. So yeah, that's unless there's other questions at the bottom of the chat, I think we knocked them all out. So
we had some people asking about a charger. Somebody had asked if they needed to buy a charger, if that was just for fast charging, and I don't know that they haven't really said what whether I guess you want to call it a trickle charger or a 120 charger will be included or not, and we haven't seen anything about it. But you would have to, if it does not include it, you'd have to get something either like the wall box that you plug in, or now I have one that runs on a 16 amp or 32 amp, whichever one I want to use it on. And it has a connector that would be for a NEMA 1450, but I also have an adapter that I can use to plug into a 120 or something like that. So that's something I would look for, like on Amazon or something like that. You can get them relative a decent price, and that way you can hook into a 110, 120 temporarily until you get your 240 hooked up, and then all you have to do is just take the adapter off and you can just plug it into the wall. And you're ready to go. Or you can get your wall box and have that trickle charger basically to carry around with you if you go somewhere. You'd at least be able to plug in somewhere if you needed to.
got it.
I call it a trickle charger, but it's not really.
Yeah. Well, there's one other question too that you might be able to talk to, Matt, with regards to the key fobs. Does anyone know what the fob looks like yet? And I know you wrote an article about the Fisker Karma key fob.
But we did have
the little
a picture of one. What was it from Fisker from their press room? It showed the key in the by the cup holder.
That's right.
But we only saw a little bit of the key, so it looked like it had maybe a chrome finish in black plastic.
Yeah,
if I remember correctly.
Here, let's see if I can find that. Yep, it's right here. Let me just share my screen.
Yeah, I don't have my Dropbox connected to the new laptop yet. Otherwise, I'd try to bring it up.
Yeah, I got it right here, actually. But yeah, good. I knew you knew exactly where it was. So here is the picture that Matt is referring to. And if I zoom in right here, next to that red, water bottle, you have right here where the key fobs can be inserted. And this is an older photo with sea salt, but that could still potentially be what it looks like. And I haven't been able to see it in any of the newer vehicles, but that's the best thing we got, that little silverish, blackish thing right there in the center of the screen. So hopefully that helped answer that question.
I think it'd be cool if it was like round like the Fisker logo and had the blue and the orange and had the Fisker thing, and like the four corners of it or something were like, I think that would be pretty
That'd be neat. Yeah. Yeah, maybe it will. Maybe it'll have a Fisker logo on it, and each of those sections might have functionality. That'd be pretty neat. So yeah, so that's it. That is the end of the questions. I think if you guys have more questions, feel free to leave them in the future in the comments. We'll go back and take a look at the videos and answer some questions in the comments. Thank you all for listening in tonight to episode number 3 of All Things Fisker. If you haven't already subscribed to our channels, please go ahead and hit the subscribe button. and go ahead and, as it says on the screen there, smash the like button. Don't just tap the like button or press the like button, smash it, and then subscribe to our channels. We appreciate it. Thank you from my section over here, my beautiful city, San Diego, and just south of the Fisker headquarters. You guys have a good night.
All right.
So, yeah.
Good night, everybody.
All right. Take care, everybody.